All right. Well, okay. So why don't we just get started? If you're down.
Yes, sir. I am
All
down.
right. So basically, you guys are tuned into the Third Eye Samurai podcast, and we're going to be talking about what the third eye is and how it can be used, ways to activate it, the dangers of activating it, why you should activate it or perhaps should not, depending on the previous section, and ways to control it. And I'm talking with Jason, the blue moon of Neptune. What's up, dude?
Hello. Hello, hello. What's up? What's up?
Hey. So, before we get started, actually, you're going to give us an astrology reading, right, for this week?
Yes, sir. Let me pull it up.
All right. And
so
we're
this,
talking about which week is this, just in case someone's listening to us later.
yeah. So we're gonna do the 15th through the 21st, and it's just gonna be, a basic understanding of what's happening in the sky at that time, so you can
Okay,
better
cool.
navigate your life.
And so for people tuning in, like, I don't know too much about astrology, and so I'm just going to be facilitating the conversation while Jason's like laying down some wisdom for the most part. And so I'm going to try to ask some poignant, is that the word, questions, so that you can better kind of not just get the information from him, but hopefully maybe understand like the thinking behind it. And if you're completely new to astrology, it may not make sense, but if you're like trying to understand this stuff, then I feel like having those kind of conversations and asking those questions will be very useful. All right, cool. Without further ado, take it away, man.
Hey, so I'm gonna keep it pretty basic so everyone can kind of understand, and I'm just gonna do a general reading for just everyone on the mundane level. So if you're a certain sign, it may affect you differently. If you're a Pisces, it's going to affect you differently if you're a Sagittarius, because obviously you guys are different signs. You don't have to know astrology to kind of understand how that could be different. But when you're looking at the astrology and you're looking at basically the main theme, you want to look at the sun, because the sun is what's putting light on stuff, right? When we look at the sun, it's shining so bright, it kind of blinds us. We can't look at it, but the sun can look at us. And that's kind of what the sun does in astrology. Wherever the sun is in your chart is what you're consciously putting light on in your life, what you're consciously aware of. So we look at the sun kind of as a planet that kind of controls what we take action on, a planet that kind of controls our ego and like our programs that we have and our understanding of life. So the sun being in Aries at this time makes everyone more consciously aware of themselves and what they're thinking and what their plans are, because Aries is all about it's the very first sign, so it's all about self. It's all about self-awareness, what you want, what you have. That's why Aries individuals are very determined people. It's a spark of energy of thyself. So when a sun's in Aries, there's a lot more just straight energy in the air, especially energy to take action on the things that you're paying attention to or things that your ego tells you to do. And so the sun is at the end of Aries during this time. So this would be, finalizing your ideas or finalizing something you've been doing.
Well, how about getting started on something?
Or finalizing the idea and actually taking action. Because very good question.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I was
that's what
thinking Aries makes me think of action.
Right, Aries is very action-oriented sign. It's a fire sign, right? So each sign has an element, and that tells you a little bit about it: air, water, fire, earth. Fire signs fire signs want to express themselves. Fire signs tend to have really good creative ideas because they're putting light on stuff. They're putting fire on it, and then they take action on it because they want to express it. They want to show it. They want to show the light. They want to manifest it. So Aries people tend to be very good at coming up with ideas and then carrying out the idea. They're the first thought. They're the first idea. They're the first action. It being fire, all fire signs are very creative. All fire signs have pretty interesting third eyes, as we'll get into. And Aries are very, very creative and action-oriented people. And during this last week, I do suggest that if there's been something that you have been thinking you want to take action on, this is definitely the time to do it, because it's the first step, or the final step of actually manifesting what you're looking for. Not to mention, it's kind of funny we're talking about manifesting and taking action. The second thing, yeah. The second thing we will probably look into after that would be the moon sign. The moon sign is kind of what
Wait, so let me
we're
hold on. I kind of want to slow you down because I wanted to
okay.
make a point or clarify a
Talk to me.
point
Talk to me.
that because this was really interesting and I think
Mm,
this was really helpful. Like you were talking about the physical sun as like a physical,
mm,
burning gas ball in space thing.
mm,
Its qualities
mm.
are parallel to the
Right.
metaphysical qualities of the sun when you look at it in an astrology chart. Is that
Right. Yeah.
it's kind of
Definitely.
like that's
We're
how you and I
right.
would imagine it's the same with all the planets on some level then that their
Correct.
physical.
Hmm.
Okay, I feel like that's a really interesting point and something that's like helps you grasp because we all have like images of like we know what Saturn looks like, we know what the sun looks like, the moon. So having
Right.
that visual and then being able to attach it to a metaphysical concept can be
Hmm.
really helpful, I think. And then the other
Definitely.
thing that I wanted to
Mm,
clarify was so right now, if the sun, you're
mm,
saying the sun is in Aries right now.
mm.
And that means that like if someone is born there right now, their sun sign would be Aries. Is that right?
Correct. Uh-huh. Hmm. Their sun sign would be Aries, huh?
Okay. And so in the position of the sun in the sky, like I'm trying to
Mm,
visualize this,
mm.
is at, like I guess the sun is closer than the constellations. So it's in front of the constellation of Aries. Like if you literally looked
Correct.
into the sun and you could see through it, you would see Aries on the other side.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, and that's what it means that
Mm.
the sun is in Aries, and obviously
Right.
throughout the
Mm.
year. Well, let's not get it too detailed, but all right, cool. That's really good to
Definitely.
understand. So now you're going to talk about
Mm.
the position of the moon. So if you look at the moon, what's right behind it in the sky
That it
and
would
what that's
be
affecting?
right. It would be around the constellation of Virgo, depending on
Hmm.
if you're Vedic or Western astrologer. So we won't get
Oh
into the
man, all
actual
right, all right,
measurements on that.
all right.
but
Let's keep it simple, but
but
yeah,
yes, it
we're
will
gonna
be
have to
around
do
around.
an
Yeah.
episode on that one day.
Yeah, it would definitely be around the constellation of Virgo. The moon is definitely in Virgo, and I love the fact that you talked about how putting a physical, like the yang energy, the outside energy, and the metaphysical together with the sun. The sun being something that like illuminates things, just like over illuminates it to the point where it literally like burns it out because that light
Hmm.
is fire, right? So wherever the sun
Okay.
is, the sun in your chart will kind of burn out that area of life, right? Or
So
over
that's the
illuminate it.
negative. It's going to be like the positive aspect is it gets a lot of energy. The negative aspect is that could be too much and burn out.
Right. And speaking of
Okay.
Aries, right, and you said someone born in with Aries, like they tend to be very energetic people. In fact, the
Mm-hmm.
sun is at home in Leo, right? But it's exalted, meaning it does its best, it performs its best in Aries because Aries is basically all about taking action on things, taking action on what you're passionate about, putting fire to it. So Aries people tend to be those people who just I like to call them the Energizer bunnies. That's the key word for Aries, Energizer bunny, and they
All
literally will
right.
not stop. Yeah, they literally won't stop until they burn out. Like they'll make themselves sick sometimes because like they're so on focus on what they're trying to do. Like they just never stop until they actually burn out. And that's kind of what the sun kind of does. Now, what the moon kind of does is
Mm-hmm.
it's more of a magnetizing energy, right? Like when we look at the moon, we can actually look at it. We don't have to close our eyes like we do for the sun. In fact, some
Mm-hmm.
people love
True.
to just stare at the moon, right? Um, in fact, when the sun's up and it's daylight, we tend to be in our programs. We tend to be in our ego. We tend to be doing things that we think we're supposed to do to fit in society. We go to work, get a job, go to school, all that good stuff, right? But when the sun or when the moon goes
Mm.
up, what do? We go and we go relax, or we go and do what we really want to do, or we go and have fun. And that's what the moon is about. It's about what you want to do. It's
I
about your true
see.
emotional state on things, right? So the
Yeah.
moon, yeah. So to me, before you take action on anything, you have to have an emotional backing behind it. You have to have a feeling to do it, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Therefore, right. Therefore, the moon comes before the sun. If you think about it, you see, because depending on how your emotions
Hmm.
feel is going to dictate how you take action on it. You see what I mean?
Yeah. No,
So,
it's really interesting because when I learned more about my chart, and so my sun is Cancer and my moon is in Sagittarius. And while I do like make decisions and act like a Cancer, I kind of feel like there's more motivation coming from the Sagittarius moon side of things. Like that's more true and real. And Cancer
Right.
is just how I'm like carrying things out in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. Or what
So
you're
that's really
paying
interesting.
attention to, what you
Hmm.
might be paying attention to, but how you respond to it is going to be very Sagittarius like. You see what I mean? Because
Gotcha.
yeah. So
So right now the moon is in Virgo, and so that's going to
right.
affect everyone. Like just how you're saying
Right.
the sun is the sun being in where is it again?
Aries.
In Aries,
Aries.
that's right, is giving a lot of energy, but you can maybe be careful of burning out. So the moon's also
Mm-hmm.
going to be playing a role, I'm guessing, on the emotional side of people.
Right, and that's actually a great point you just said because Virgo is a very
Okay.
grounding energy, right? Virgo is a very it's an earth sign, right? So when you think about
Okay.
astrology, always go to elements first, right? Because the elements are going to
Yeah.
tell you so much, the foundation. So
Wait,
earth
Virgo is a
signs,
virgin, right?
yeah, it's considered like the
That's
Virgin
the
Mary.
okay. And then Aries is a
Yeah,
ram. There's all this symbolism that
yeah,
goes with each one, so I guess I just touch
right.
upon it. But okay, let's not get sidetracked.
But
So,
yeah,
so yeah,
the way the version Virgo plays out in today's society is like they tend to be a little bit more traditional than other people, but they're by no
okay.
means innocent. In fact,
Okay. All right.
Virgos can
Well,
be
again, we're gonna have to have a whole podcast on Virgos alone because I'm sure it goes
yeah.
deep. But how is that
Okay, yeah.
affecting
Let's
people
keep
on a
us
weekly basis
right.
on
So
this?
since it's
Yeah, yeah.
since everyone's energy is going to be so sparky,
Mm-hmm.
Virgo is such a grounding energy. Earth signs are stable. Earth signs are consistent. Earth signs are logical. So this is definitely a great time to not only take action on it, but you're going to take action on it logically. You're going to take action on it very composed. You might feel the need.
Mm.
Yeah, and you might feel the need to build better structure on things. So this is a great time to do planning. Virgos love to plan and then carry out the plan. So again, this is more energy to really manifest things that you want to manifest this last week while the sun's in Aries. And we
You're
should
kind of
keep it
tripping
there
me
for
out,
now.
man. Yeah,
Oh
okay,
yeah,
that's a
you've been
lot. I mean, that's really like that's a good amount, but it's tripping me out because like okay, so we're starting this podcast this week. And not only that, but I'm planning like this tomorrow, I think, or no, after tomorrow, I'm going to a
mm,
friend's birthday party and I've been planning to like she's really good at organizing things and she's got like her Capricorn is in like five different spots or something. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but
yeah.
um she's very like
That's
logical and stuff. So she was like, she loves to help. She's like, yeah, I'd love nothing more than to help you organize like your life and stuff. And so like
oh
this
yeah.
project, and what you're saying about, I think you were saying with Virgo to what was the Virgo aspect of it again?
To be consistent, have a strong foundation, to be stable, to be composed, to plan and carry
Like
out
have
the
a really
plan.
good plan. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So I'm really feeling
yeah,
that. That's interesting how that was kind of naturally happening
definitely.
without without knowing this. So that's great. I guess so. For if you were to, do you like to offer advice, or do you want to just leave it there and let people interpret it as they will? What do you think?
I mean, I love to talk about the stars. So if anybody wants to get a reading from me, just go to at the Blue Moon of Neptune and find me on Instagram, DM me, and we'll make a plan. I do it all.
All right, perfect. And that actually leads me to the next thing. I wanted to just have like a really brief introduction of who you are before we get into the topic of the third eye. Just like, are you coming from an academic background? Do you have personal experience? Like, where's your knowledge? Where are you coming from? Just real briefly.
Yeah. So really briefly, I'm
I mean,
like
we're
a
gonna have to do a whole
hardcore.
podcast on that. I know you have really interesting stories and stuff. So yeah, go on though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am an educated guy, but nothing to do with metaphysical side of life.
Okay.
So when it comes to my universal knowledge, I would definitely say it's all experience based and me just being a student of the universe. I mean, I tell everyone before an astrology reading that If you don't resonate with something I say, please tell me, because that will help me understand better, help me understand my studies. And I don't even consider myself an astrologer. I'm a student of astrology, just like I'm a student of the universe. So I'm just constantly learning and picking up things. And of course, I do have my own little situation going on. I'm super psychic. I'm super intuitive. I have like a crazy, like my Mercury's debilitated in Pisces. So people who know astrology, exactly.
I
But
just
yeah,
made, I don't know. Yeah, all
yeah,
right.
but
See, that's what
yeah,
we'll get
and so
into in the podcast, or we'll go deep into this. But
definitely.
yeah, so your background is coming mostly from personal experience, which I kind of really like because I mean, okay, I think you have to balance. Everything's about balance. So there are studies out
Mm,
there, and like if you're interested in the metaphysics stuff from a more like looking at studies done by like the CIA and stuff like that, or for personal research, there's that. But then also like talking to someone directly, because no one can talk about like information from an objective place and say things like for certain. You know, you do tests and you try to
right,
figure things out and you get the closest you can to the truth. But when it's your own personal experience, then you're speaking from like, I mean, that's your truth. So
right.
I don't know, for some reason, I feel like a lot of people discount that and think of it as like less
Mm,
valid. But in a
mm,
weird way, for me, I don't know, it's almost more valid because it's speaking of something you can actually speak of. It's not
right,
third party knowledge. It's not like you heard this from a friend who read it in a book.
right.
It's like this is what you've experienced. And so yeah, I hope you guys will be really like interested. I know a lot of people have experience with psychic stuff and have looked into that and know that's like something's going down in that field. And maybe
Mm,
other people are listening more skeptical, but just
yeah.
think it's good to keep an open mind. And you were telling me before the podcast that like you want this to be a starting point for people to dive into things, right?
Right. So whenever I do any type of talking or anything creative, my whole goal is to really get people in their imagination, to really get people to think
Hmm.
about stuff, to really get people to like raise their conscious level on situations, right? So like I'm not a person, you could tell me all kinds of things and I'm not going to believe you unless I believe you, like all because you said it or because a book says something. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean much to me if I don't know you on a like a personal level and feel like you have like some type of real knowledge, right? Like I don't and I in
Hmm.
fact I don't want people to listen to me word for word because you got to filter stuff. You have to have a filter system. Everything you hear, everything you receive, you're just not supposed to receive it and just archive it. You're supposed to receive it, dissect it, and come up with your own understanding of it, right?
Yeah.
So my main goal is to get you guys in your imagination, to get you guys thinking, and to give you guys new angles to look at situations, and then take it and form your own science and belief system or principles around it and all that good stuff.
I mean, I'm almost thinking now that you said that, but like again, this is for a future episode. I'm going to be saying that a lot. I have a feeling is that like the thinking process and the
Mm.
like asking the questions is almost more significant than actually getting the answers. Like that's
Yeah,
what raises your
definitely. Yeah.
consciousness. That's what like increases your wisdom and makes you drive closer to
Hmm.
truth, which probably can never really be arrived at because
Right.
we don't have the faculties to understand truth, what it is in its purest form. But like, so you just got to keep kind of trucking forward, trying to make a
Right.
little step by step, and you do that by pondering things and by like the use of imagination. I love
Hmm.
imagining things, but I always thought it was kind of just goofing off, but
No,
man,
no.
now we got it. Now we have something else to talk about. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're about to talk. We got to get into the third eye, so that we could, get into the topic of this podcast. Now, I was gonna start with a practical use. So
Yeah.
like I was saying, I got poison oak recently. Can the third eye help me
Mm.
with that? Like, let's just throw you a
Um.
curveball right here.
Yeah. I mean, the third eye can literally help you with like everything involving life. So
Hmm.
yeah. It could help you in this situation by understanding not to put yourself in that situation anymore. In the future.
Uh, Looking at help me avoid. Well, I mean, I actually put myself in that situation consciously. It's not like I walked through a bush. I was trying to remove stuff, and I thought I could I thought I could outplay the poison oak, and I was sadly mistaken. So, all right, well, I'll get into. Maybe we'll double back on that at the end of the episode, and I'll see if I have any other ways it could help me after I learn more about it. So. Okay, so even before we get into what is the third eye, people are always talking about we got to activate it, which is an interesting word because it makes me think like it's either on or off, like activate or deactivate. Is it like that, or is there like a spectrum? Like, does everyone have a third eye working to some degree, or maybe not? Like,
there's definitely truth in that statement because there's definitely levels to your third eye game. There is definitely activation or points in your life where you can clearly, if you're like, I mean, is it always, it's always active? Yes. Are you born with it on? Yes. Is it on for everybody? Yes. At all times? Yes. But how consciously aware of it are you, right? That's where it really comes into play. Like, how conscious are you of that eye or what you're even doing? You see what I'm saying? And then when you become super conscious of it, how do you use it? You see? But, you'll have, there'll be times in your life where you may just be sitting around not thinking about anything, and then suddenly you get what I would call a whole bunch of downloads and what other people will call like an epiphany, right? On something, a new way to look at something that they never looked at like it before. And that typically is a third eye experience, a third eye activation. People call epiphanies a turning point in their life and everything changes after that. But what really changed is they became more consciously aware of their or their reality. I don't know if we're cursing on this podcast.
I don't know if we're cursing, man. You guys don't ask me. But wait, so what you're saying is interesting about it always being on, but are you aware of it? That's the question. Now that makes me think of, have you ever seen those like brain game teaser shows where they'll be like, watch these people play basketball and count the number of bounces or something or passes. And then like a guy in a gorilla suit like comes and dances like right in the middle of the screen, but you're so focused on the passing of the ball, you don't see this crazy gorilla man. And it's like, he was there the whole time, but like, and your eyes were taking it in, but you didn't pay attention to it. Therefore, it might as well have not existed. Like, if the guy didn't tell you about it at the end, in your experience, in your life, in your reality, that gorilla didn't exist, even though it was always there. Is that kind of like how the the third eye is working, like always in the background? You just have to focus in on it? Or would you say it's not quite like that?
That's you're killing it because that's like an amazing perspective and question. You know what I'm saying? And the answer is like, both of it matters, right? Like if you're like, for example, like if there was that happening in the background, right? And you weren't consciously aware of it before or why it was happening, right? Sometimes someone like me or other people with like a strong third eye, they can actually go back and watch that time again on a certain level and reanalyze it and see that there because your third eye
man, like
is
when they played
conscious.
the video back and you're like, oh, it was there the whole time. Right. Like you play your memory back like a video almost, you're saying.
Exactly. And like your third eye, even though you're not consciously paying attention to it, your third eye is working on a very subconscious level and conscious level at the same time. Like so
now we got to get into it because we jumped right into the waters and I kind of wanted to do that to mix things up. But so like, what is the third eye? Now that we're talking about it, like, can you just give a brief and then we can get right back to where you were?
So I'm going to read my YouTube description off my channel because it's going to really describe me and a little bit how I use the third eye. I'm reading it right now. I'm Jason Alexander. I'm here to help you navigate through the illusions of life. I'm part of a collective of individuals that's on their journey to live their best life as their true self. We use our third eye to see past the illusions, unlocking the secrets of the universe. So that's basically what you can do with it. You can see past the illusion. You see what I'm saying?
Now, illusion. Okay. Go on. What is the illusion? That's the question then. That's what the question becomes.
Right. See past the illusion would be like, see, the third eye can't is not only just to see past the illusion, but like a lot of things are happening, right, that we're not even picking up on. You see what I'm saying? Like the best way I could describe it, like in a quick example, would be like
Mm-hmm.
like a TV show, right? And inside the TV show, you know, the wife is always taking care of the home, and the husband's always, making the money and being like the perfect husband, and this, that, and the third, and cutting the grass on the weekends, blah blah, blah, right?
Okay.
And like
Yeah.
a lot of people, some people would be like, "Oh man, that's not how reality is." Like, life doesn't have to be like that. You don't have to have a housewife, or you don't have to be a housewife, right? Or you don't have to be a
Mm-hmm.
career guy, right? Or you don't have to cut your own grass over the weekend. But some people literally would watch this type of TV their whole life and really think life is literally supposed to be like that. And if anything is not like that,
Okay.
it's not correct, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and that's an illusion. You see, TV
Mm.
programs TV programs are nothing but a program. They're programming you, right? And if you don't have a strong third eye to filter, like I said, filter through the program, then you could be programmed. The remote control controls you. You see what I'm saying? So you got to be really careful of being programmed, and you do that by seeing past the illusions, and you see past the illusions by using the third eye. You see?
All right. So the illusions is pretty much like anything that's not truth. Is like
Right.
anything that's okay.
Or anything that's misleading, or anything that is
Mm.
has a motive behind it that is not necessarily from your own source. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like something that's you're receiving, and you're programming yourself off false information, or false the
Could that
illusion, instead of what the reality is. You see what I'm saying?
so it could be something that's true or real, but it's not you. It's not authentic, maybe is the better word. Would
Right.
would
But
okay,
when
my question would like the effects of the astrological effects of like the position of the sun and the moon, the way that
mm,
affects you, is that an
mm,
illusion? Like, is that something that because it can might affect your behavior, but it's not coming
mm.
from you? So I'm trying to
Yeah,
distinguish.
yeah. So, hmm, that that is
That might be the
a
gray area.
object. No, no, no. That is an object in the
Okay.
sky, right? And
Uh
that could
huh.
be that's a lot of things more than just an object, right? But we're all objects, right? We all give
Okay.
off we all give off energy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we have to only assume that the sun is literally giving off some type of energy. You see what I'm saying? We
Mm-hmm.
can't deny that there's energy coming from objects out here. Everything has energy. So that being said, um, it's only illusion if you're creating one around it, right? But there is an
Oh, the
energy,
stories you tell around that, or
right?
might be the illusion.
Right now,
Because you're not going to
let's get
experience it for what it is exactly. It's gonna go through your filters, and you're gonna interpret it in some way,
right.
and
Like
maybe
for
like the
example,
closer. Hmm.
yeah, like you never know. Like for example, one could be like, oh, everyone says the sun's in Aries, and Aries is this, that, and the third. But how do we know that's not how do we know that's real? How do we know that's not just another program that someone else gave us? Blah blah blah. Right? And I
Hmm.
could say I know it's real because I study astrology, and I experience when the sun's in Aries how things are different. I experience how I feel differently.
Hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So therefore,
Yeah, and you
I
can't
could
prove it for someone else, but you you
you could prove
know
it for
that's one of the
yourself,
things.
right?
Yeah, that's the thing I feel like is
Mm,
tough. People want. I feel like a lot of people. Well, I don't want to go on a big tangent, but a lot of people want other people to prove things for them, and
right?
like
Yeah,
expect that
yeah.
like you're gonna put your trust. And I guess at some level, maybe you'll have to do that in
Mm,
certain circumstances. But a lot of times, you can
mm,
kind of seek out the truth for yourself in one way or another. Um,
mm.
and I like the idea of this. The idea of the third eye would be really sounds like a super important tool to help distinguish between like what sources to trust and what not to. That's the first impression I'm getting. Like if I could
Right.
see
And
through someone and be like, okay, this person is being genuine with me or not, is that the kind of thing that the third eye might be able to help with?
oh yeah, definitely see past other people's illusion, other people's BS,
Mm.
right? And to actually know their intention, right? The third eye can definitely help with that. And I don't want to say the third eye is only illusion based, like only deals with things of illusion. The third eye deals with so much more than that. The third eye deals with just
Okay, wait, we're gonna
manifestation,
get
how
into
you
that. Yeah.
okay.
Well, you got a list here for me, and this is really interesting. But I wanted to also mention one thing because when I was doing a little preliminary research, one of the main things that I kept coming across is that the third eye is associated with the pineal gland. And a pineal
Mm,
gland is this like a gland in the endocrine system, which means it like deals with hormones and things like that, which is huge for how your whole body functions and regulating it. And like there's some really interesting properties about this gland. It's in the very center of your brain pretty much. So it's like right between the left and right hemisphere of the brain and like
mm,
in the middle and also in the
mm,
middle kind of I'm pulling it up on the screen now, so if you're watching the video you'll see some things, but like kind of like right in the center of the brain from the front and back too, a little bit
mm,
towards the back, but and
mm,
I was thinking about this and I'm like, the body's a pretty efficient like mechanism, and like nature doesn't really like just do things randomly, and having something in the center of the brain, which is like the center of the central nervous system of the body, kind of seems like it's pointing towards it. It's like that's a prime location. That's like if there's a king, if your body was a kingdom, there's like a throne, I would think to put it in the center of the brain or maybe like the heart or something, but that would be one of the top spots. In addition to
mm.
that, it's also actually, and the reason, like, you're like, okay, why is he saying this pineal gland third eye? Like, like, why would you put those two together? Well, the reason is because actually, like, physiologically, it has similarities to your actual eyes in that it has, like,
Mm,
these rods and cones, so it can, like, sense light, and
mm.
which is weird because it doesn't see light from the outside. But I
Yeah.
looking into it, we'll probably have to do a whole nother episode on this. But like there's these like crystals in there that are piezoluminescent, which means when you apply a mechanical force they let off photons, which is light. So there's like a
Mm,
mechanism in the pineal gland that can produce light, and there's like rods and cones that can like see that light. And there was one other crazy thing about
that's
it.
crazy. Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy things about it, but you guys can look into that yourselves. I definitely recommend you do. Oh, and it regulates the main two things is serotonin and melatonin. Serotonin in the
Mm,
daytime, I think it's like a
mm,
neurotransmitter, and people like it can make you happy, and it's associated with like some psychedelic stuff. And they
mm,
say that the pineal gland also might produce DMT, which is if people know about that, it's basically a hallucinogen, like super hardcore.
mm,
And melatonin is for your sleep. So
mm.
so it is like physiologically, aside from any metaphysical stuff, a super important gland that plays like a
Yeah.
huge role in regulating your body, your sleep, like all that stuff. So I wanted to touch upon that because it's just really interesting, and that's where the third eye is supposed to be like physically located, like the
Right.
metaphysical third eye. If it has a position, like the chakras or whatever do in your body, it's right there where the pineal gland is, right? That's what that was my
Right.
understanding,
Exactly.
anyways.
Hmm.
Cool. Okay.
No. Yeah. That's my
Okay. I
understanding
just kind
too.
of wanted to touch upon that because we're saying what is a third eye, so that's kind
Yeah.
of like the other half, the physical. I kind of feel like every metaphysical thing has a physical entity. It's got like the yin
Hmm.
and the yang. It's just the
Hmm.
natural order of things. It seems to be that way. So I like to
Right.
like look for that when I find a metaphysical concept. I'm like, what is the physical concept of that?
Mm,
So all right, let's
mm.
get into how it's used. And this is a pretty long list. I don't know how you want to tackle this. Do you want to just kind of go off the cuff, or do you want me to go through the list and you talk a little bit about each point? What do you
Yeah. Um.
feel better about?
Hmm. I mean, hit me with the first
How it's
one.
used, the good or the bad? The first one was healing.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't go over it. Well, I mean, we could start there. Okay,
I
so
know. I feel like
basically,
there's
right?
probably a lot places you could start. So yeah, go on. Let's just start
um,
there.
how do you use it for healing? Okay, so you can use it to help heal yourself, and you can heal it. You can use it to heal others, right? Um, so
We're
in order for
talking
me,
about like spiritual or emotional healing, right? Not physical.
I mean, everything happens in the spiritual first, Therefore, it can help the physical.
I
If I'm
see
getting
what you're
super
saying,
technical.
like, but like a little more
Yeah.
indirectly, like the
Yeah,
underlying
right.
spiritual or
Indirectly,
emotional
indirectly, correct.
causes for your physical
But
ailments,
some
which is the
people
best
would,
solution.
yeah. So here's that's you always ask the best questions. Um, like I'm I believe in my power, right? And I feel my power. I feel my aura. I feel my energy. Um, and people who are consciously aware of their power and constantly aware of this kind of thing, they're aware of it using their third eye, their internal eye, right? This is happening in
Mm-hmm.
an internal place. Your feelings are a very internal base. Your spiritual world is very internal base. So that being said, when you're using your third eye, um, damn, I kind of
I
forgot what you
wanted
just
to
said that I was playing off
no,
of,
but
but like
okay.
basically,
Hmm.
hmm.
Finish your thought, but then I had a question that came up.
No, I lost my thought. So go ahead. Yeah.
All right, okay.
Mm,
Maybe it's meant to be because now I'm thinking, wait,
mm,
is a third eye like? Would that
mm,
be when you imagine things? Like if you close
mm.
your eyes and think about things and imagine them, is the third eye what's seeing that?
Exactly. Like basically that's what I was saying. Like when you're internalizing things, right? You're seeing it through your
Hmm.
third eye. Like your imagination is your third eye, right? Remember,
Okay.
there's levels to the third eye game. Your conscious level on your third eye. But everyone's like, oh well, I've been using my third eye my whole life. I've always been imaginative, and I've always you have been, and that
Hmm.
is your third eye, and that
Mm.
and that's the eye that's inside you. It deals with the inside
Hmm.
world. You see, so whatever is
Hmm.
happening in there is
It's
what
funny. It's
is gonna
literally an eye inside of you, like physically.
right.
That's literally like pretty much what it is, and that's what it's doing on the metaphysical world. It's seeing the things that are going on inside you. And
Yeah.
okay,
Hmm.
that's really
Or
interesting.
another good way of looking at it is seeing what's happening in the dark, right? Because you could,
Mm.
when something happens to you, and it was an outside
Mm.
source, like let's say, uh, someone did something behind your back, like they like a girlfriend cheated on you or a boyfriend cheated on you, right? And you didn't see
Mm.
it while it was happening, but then you were able to like go back in your mind and see, oh, that was a tell. Oh, they did that, or they were always showering when they first came home, or oh, they were coming back late and right when they were always doing the cheating, and
Mm.
you kind of go back and see all the things that you didn't see before that was happening in the dark. You see what I'm
Mm.
saying? So the third
There's this
eye. Mm,
there's this concept that
mm,
that is really interesting about intuition. The idea of intuition being advanced pattern recognition. So it's the
yeah.
idea that like your brain is taking in like way too much information, and
Right.
it's like way smarter than you are, whatever that means.
Right.
So it knows like things that you don't know, and the fact that
Mm,
intuition's just tapping into that, like you said, like, oh, they took a shower every time they came home and that didn't happen before. You're not
mm,
consciously noticing that, but your subconscious mind is taking all this information, just putting it away, and
mm.
so you could make that connection,
Right.
and just be like, I don't
Now.
trust them. Like I know they're cheating on me, but I don't know why. But you do know
Right.
why. You have all this evidence. It's just you can't bring it to the conscious surface. And now I'm kind of
Exactly.
imagining if you're stronger with your third eye, does that mean like you might be able to bring those details to the surface
Exactly.
more?
Yeah.
Instead of just being like, I don't know why, but I don't trust this guy. I just don't trust him. You'll be
Or
like,
seeing
I know
it.
why I don't trust him.
Yeah, or seeing it after it happened. You see what I'm saying? If you have a very strong
Hmm.
idea and like see, being able to pick up on patterns is a very
Hmm.
third eye thing to do. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Scientists might want to call it a pattern, right? But
Hmm.
like it's a very third eye concept when you are with someone and you're seeing everything that they do, and the moment they do something differently, not only do you know why or that they did something differently, but you have an idea why they would do that. You see what I'm saying? Like
Mm.
it could be something as simple as wearing a different outfit, right? And you could be like, all right, why are they wearing an outfit today that they normally wouldn't wear to this? Connect the dots. You see what I'm saying? But like some people will be like, "Oh,
Mm.
you look nice today," you But some people with a strong third eye would be like, "Okay, what's why?" why are you extra on it today? You see what I'm saying? And then you could start
Hmm.
playing around with it. Now this is where the bad part of the third eye can come into play, right? Because then you
Okay.
could, some people with a strong imagination, right, could imagine a gazillion different bad scenarios from why they're wearing that, right? Or why they're doing something differently. You see? And then it can make someone paranoid. So sometimes when you become more aware of what's happening in the dark because you're a third eye, you're also
Hmm.
creating new new things from the dark that don't yet exist, which can make you super paranoid or give you anxiety or be super fear based. So that is
Wait. So if you have a third eye, that's I guess that's maybe the different levels. But I'm saying if your third
mm,
eye is strong enough to pick up that something has changed and that there's a significance to that change,
mm,
then but it's not strong enough to pick up what that significance is, and then what your regular imagination like. Because I guess
yeah,
because I'm kind of trying to understand, is the third eye
mm.
like, does it always know what is true, or
No,
is that oh, so that's not what it is. It's not like
yeah.
a truth seeking like
It is a
metaphysical
truth
tool.
seeking thing. It's a truth seeking
Huh.
tool, but
Okay.
it could create like mad illusions there. You see what I'm saying? A lot of psychic people or empathic people and all this stuff like they tend to be hardcore introverts because they
Uh-huh.
see they're imagining and seeing so much. You see what I'm saying? You could take like for me, right? Um
Mm.
this is this is just the first thing that came up when I thought of it, but like to me it'll be like if I see you do something wrong, right? Like if let's say I saw you um cheat on a test or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or do something shady, right? Then it's going to be really hard for me to deal with you because my third eye is telling me this person will do something behind your back. They'll do something shady. You see what I'm saying? They're not
Mm-hmm.
trustworthy. You see what I'm saying? And that will prevent me from interacting or doing something with that person because I would be so paranoid on that type of energy coming out with me. You see what I'm saying? But in the reality of it, that person
Hmm.
could have so much respect for me, or they could have been in such a weird position that made them do that. But like they could hold me in a place where they would never do anything like that to me. You see what I'm saying? But my strong third eye is could prevent me from engaging further because it's so consciously aware of the energy that person had for them to do something like that. You see what I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, no, I think I'm starting to get it, but I'm
yeah,
having
it's
trouble
deep.
finding like a way to, yeah, to like a
But
good metaphor to describe it or something. But I thought this would be interesting. Can you
mm,
describe someone like in like
mm,
a brief description of someone who has their third eye completely closed, like
mm,
on the far end of that spectrum, and then on the other end, someone who has it completely open, like maybe same circumstances, like living in the same town and the same whatever. How might their lives be different?
mm.
How might they act different or perceive like what would be, can you give us first the guy with his third eye closed, let's
All
say,
right, let's
what's he
say two
like?
people are from a old town or a
Mm-hmm.
small town, excuse me, small town,
Mm-hmm.
and neither one of them are from any a nice background. Like maybe they were kind of like lower class, middle class, low middle class, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. All right.
And let's say both of them, right, wanted to be a stand-up comedian, for example.
Okay,
Um,
this is good. All right. So they have the
all
same
right, so,
location, the same goal, the same kind of general environmental circumstances.
right. They're both super funny, right? Let's say they both
Okay.
write
Oh, so they
really
even
good,
have the same innate talents. They're like,
right,
okay.
right, and
They're basically like the
they both
clones of each other
right,
for the
but
most.
one's third
Okay.
eye has evolved further, right? But they
Okay.
both can write really funny scripts, and they both do write a lot of
Uh-huh.
scripts that are they
Okay.
both the scripts
Hmm.
have the same value, right?
All right.
But the one with a more shut third eye, he goes throughout life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
he's going to school and he's listening to everyone say, "Oh, you need to get a job, you need to get 9 to 5, you need to get good grades, and you need to take care of your family, whatever." And this guy's like, "Man, I just want to be a stand up comedian, right?" But he goes throughout school. He just writes his comics, right? He may do a talent show at school, right? But he's from a small town, so he's not trying to even figure out or see how he can make it happen. All he sees is that he's from a small town. His whole family wants him to do this, and he doesn't think anything else is possible, right? But he knows he's
Okay.
funny, and he knows he wants to be a stand-up comedian. But he's just gonna watch it on TV because how could he be there? You know what I'm saying? Weak third eye.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he can't
All right.
he can't imagine himself being something more. Therefore, he can't even
Oh.
take it to enough level to actually figure out with his third eye how to manifest that, right? But
Yeah.
the other guy, the best friend that is just a good writer, does all the same stuff he does, has the same family background, right? He's listening to all his family, oh, you can't be a comedian. You need to go to school, get a job, and take care of your family, right? And why everyone's telling them that, right? Because everyone from their little town does that and always done that for generations, right? So why everyone's telling him that, he's like, okay, cool, yeah, right? But he has a strong enough third eye. He's like, man, well, how did this guy become a stand-up comedian? How did that guy come up stand-up comedian? How did they do it? If they can do it, I'm just like them. They're nothing but a human like me, right? So he's like, all right, I hear what you guys are saying, but in his mind, he doesn't believe it. He believes he can be a stand-up comedian because he has a strong enough third eye. He can see himself being it, right? Everything happens from there first. Before you have to see what you want before you get it, right? You have to imagine it,
Yeah.
and then you get it. Everything happens in the spiritual
Which
world,
is kind
the
of
third eye world.
weirdly, it seems like it's closer to the truth because like people would say, well, closer to the truth that like the guy from the small town, it's going to be really tough on him. But then if you like probably look at like anecdotally individual comedians, some of
Right.
them probably came out of some small town and like
Right.
and
Just
beat
like
the
that.
odds. Just like some of
And
them
that
they came
pers-
from all different things, so it's possible.
Yeah.
It's just as possible as the other scenario, anyways. And it might be closer to the truth because that's actually what he's actually good at is doing the
Right.
stand-up comedians, the comedy and stuff. So it makes sense that like authentically that would be where he would go instead of just the small town route.
Right. And exactly. And the first step is believing it, believing that you could be more than what the programs tell you, like really knowing you can be. That's third eye, right? But then if you have this guy, he has an even stronger third eye, and he has more than just the knowing he can be it, right? Some people know they're going to be a star, but never become a star, right? You know what I'm saying? But someone with a stronger third eye, right, can literally, like, he might do what you just said. He'll look at all the other people that have been from a small town and saw exactly how they did it, maybe followed a similar path or made his own formula around everyone, what previous people did before him, right? And that's a smart play, right? That's a third eye play, to be intuitive enough to look at people before you and actually dive deep into how they did it and understand it, right? A lot of times when people are trying to become something big, right, they start looking into big people, right? Or someone who's done it before them, and one thing they realize is like the work ethic, right? One thing they realize is the tough journey. You see what I mean? So people with a strong third eye will be like, okay, that's what it takes. I gotta have work ethic. I gotta be strong. I gotta have strength. I gotta take a risk, right? And then a weaker third eye person would try that for a week and be like, oh no, this is never gonna work. And they lose the vision. The third eye gets weak, right? But a person with a strong third eye sees the goal, sees where they're going.
Well, okay,
right?
this is a perfect segue because I think we got to talk about ways to activate it. And you mentioned belief. Is belief?
Right.
I think we're starting to get into that. So,
Right.
how did this guy get? Like, what did he do to differentiate himself? What are some of the possible things?
Okay, so activation of third eye. Why is the third eye stronger than the other guy's third eye? Pretty much, and especially if they have the same experience.
Is
Go ahead.
belief one of the ways to activate it? Just because you kind of mentioned that, like he believes in his dreams and
Yes,
stuff like that.
I mean, yeah, because belief would be a way to activate it. Because, for example, I guarantee if people watching this right now and they're like, if you believe that you have a third eye and you've never really consciously tried to work with it, I want you to go meditate and think about your third eye, and focus on it for like 10 minutes and tell me what happens after, or tell me if you start feeling your third eye at that point, right? If you believe it, only if you believe it, because I guarantee if you believe it, your third eye will start doing things, or you start feeling things, or start thinking about things, or you'll become at a higher conscious level than you ever have been before. You see, but you need that's what the belief, right? But if you
I
didn't have
know.
the belief, go ahead.
Well, because I'm thinking like I'm totally on the same page as you, but like, and I try to like have a skeptical mind too. But I feel like okay, especially people who are like still on the fence, they're gonna think like, well, if you believe it, then you're tricking yourself into it. You're just gonna trick yourself into it. Now, I just want to mention one thought that I have about that, which is like I feel like people kind of ignore this, and it's really strange to me. The fact that like placebo is one of the most effective drugs on the market. Like people do
Hilarious.
studies against placebos, and the placebo does just as well as like the drug that they're spending tons of money on. And it's like the only thing different is that the people believed they were taking the drug. And so to kind of like dismiss belief as like having no value doesn't make any sense to me, both on like a personal experience, anecdotal experience, and also from a scientific perspective, because like belief clearly like affects your physiology, and not only that, but also the path of your life and all sorts of things. So to me, it would like make sense that like it could be the gateway, or like one of the things, one of the prerequisites to working with your third eye. It's like an actual thing, belief. It's not just, I don't know. We'll have to. I feel like that's another whole podcast conversation.
I do.
But I just wanted to throw that in there. And now let's get back to ways to activate it and what you're getting at.
One thing I did want to mention is like the whole belief thing. When you're sitting and you're really trying to, and you really believe in your third eye, think of it as like focusing your third eye. Like just how, like if you didn't believe your eyes would work, you would never try to focus it, right? So you would just be blurry all the time.
Standing there like,
yeah,
just like not like looking at anything, like seeing, but like when you're spacing out and you're really thinking in your head, and like someone has to go like this, like something really drastic has to happen for you to be like, what? Oh, I wasn't even looking. Like, that's really interesting. So wait, so what were you saying about that?
So believing, so like I was saying, like sitting down and believing in your third eye and trying to focus on it is like focusing that eye. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. And so when your third eye gets about where it is, like, or is this more subjective? Like each person is going to have their own interpretation, or is there like a specific way they should imagine it or think about it? Do you think their own? Okay. No, because I think that's the thing about metaphysical stuff. It's like if you, that whole like story parable about the blind monks or something, who go see an elephant, and one thinks it looks like a column, and one thinks it looks like a snake, and one thinks it looks like a rope, because they're touching different parts of it and they're blind, and they're all kind of right. And like, so I kind of feel like, yeah, you're having your own personal experience is going to be more true, because maybe you'll say something that's just as right as what my personal experience is, but it's different. And I relate more with the elephant's leg, and you relate more with the elephant's trunk, like that's fine. Like we're trying to get some practical stuff done here. So whatever works kind of thing is what I would think would be a good philosophy. But would you agree with that, or where do you come from when it comes to like this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so you need to You know what just happened? I just got
dead
super
air,
in
man.
I got super dead in my third eye. Literally.
Yeah,
like, I got lost there.
I was like, I know he knows we're recording, so let me give him this time to think. We could have a second or two of quiet. But then you weren't coming back.
Yeah, like some people will get lost in the third eye. Literally, I do all the time.
That's weird. That started happening to me at a business meeting, and I was just like, I'd go into like some crazy stare or something, and it'd be like Shams. I was like reluctant to come out of it. I'm like I was saying, where the eyes disfocus and you're like in your brain, and then I'm like, hey, I was just thinking about how we could use this in this certain way, and I was like, just got way deep into the imagination. One thing that made me think of is apparently like Nikola Tesla, who is just ridiculously crazy. If you don't know about him, you got to look him up. But he's like Einstein, levels kind of. And he would always apparently invent everything in his mind before he did anything. And he would just imagine it
Right.
in vivid detail. And he could see like,
Right.
oh, that's not working. Like he'd imagine this machine and then it would be like, oh no, let me move this here. No, that's
Right.
not working. Like he'd like run the simulation in his mind like it's some kind of computer, and it's like
That's so crazy.
Which is like I feel like that's like that would be a third eye.
That would
like,
be a strong ass third eye. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Now I'm getting it. I'm starting to get what this third eye business is all about, and I'm ready to become a superhero. So let's dive back deep into it. So we're gonna sit down, like eyes closed. Does it matter if I'm lying down, if I'm sitting cross-legged, if I'm standing?
I would say just be comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so comfortable, but eyes closed, like physical
eyes closed for sure.
Third eye open.
Sure.
All right, yeah. And then so you're gonna concentrate on it, and that's it. Just kind of that whatever that means to you. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just focus on it for you said about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Believe that it's there. Believe that it's can help you and stuff like that, and just be open to the experience, kind of thing.
Exactly. Just doing that is like waking it up. You see, you may not consciously feel differently or see anything differently at that moment, but I guarantee you are slowly subconsciously expanding your conscious level. You see what I'm saying?
Like when you hit the gym, you're gonna it takes like muscles got to grow. Slow by slow, you gotta hit the reps. The gym over and over. Yep.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That it's kind of going to be a similar thing. So don't be discouraged if you don't see gains like right away. But I wouldn't be surprised if you do. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna see what happens personally. Maybe in the next podcast, if I have anything to report, I'll let y'all know. But
and that's just the belief would be the belief would be such a one thing that will wake up your third eye. I mean, you can do it in several other activation techniques. You know what I mean? You can actually do like third eye meditations might work for you, right? You could do.
Is that something you can just like go on YouTube?
Yeah,
just look up some third eye meditations.
Exactly. Eating clean is definitely going to help you there. Like getting away from processed food, eating more plants, getting more in tune with the earth is definitely going to make you more in touch with your spiritual self, your inside self, that world, the yin energy. Doing,
And again, like get in touch with the earth. That's a pretty open-ended thing to say. Are you saying, but that's like for each person, like what that means to you. Like for me, that means something specific. If you tell me go get in touch with the earth, you put a gun to my head, tell me you got to do it. Like I'd have some things to do. I would kind of like know where I would take that. But someone else might take it to a different place. But is that like the same where it's like what that means to you is what you kind of do, or do you have a specific of getting in touch with the earth? Like how do you do that? Is there a specific way you recommend?
I mean, not necessarily, but I do recommend like getting to nature because that is like our universe, right? That's like our earth, right? And we're all connected through earth, right? And if you think about it, we're all connected through air, right? We're the breath. We breathe in and out, and we all breathe the same air, right? So being outside, breathing the air that's connected with everybody and everything is going to raise your conscious level, give your third eye, your spiritual spirit more energy, more vibration. You see what I'm saying? Tap into things that you weren't tapping into before. You see what I'm saying? You guys watching me, you're tapping into a whole nother energy that you haven't tapped into before that might raise your conscious level. You see what I'm saying? So going to nature will do the same thing. You're gonna get information. Being in nature, we get information when we're outside. We're getting information.
I assume nature is at a high level of vibration, whatever that means. Like,
definitely.
Right? Like, you can't be like walking. I was just gonna say, there's no like river that's like like vibrating at a lower level, watching too much TV. But now I'm thinking maybe like a polluted river in a city might have slightly lower vibrations. Would you consider that? I mean, not to get
definitely. Yeah, no, okay. I would. I mean, you have to, for sure.
All right. Well, I don't want to get on that tangent, but that's interesting. But I want to talk about, because also there's a bunch of things listed on ways to activate it. Like we've got chakras, crystals, moon gazing, experiences, drugs, and different
Mm.
activation depending on astrological energy. So that last one's kind of separate. But these other ones, do you want to touch
Right.
upon any of those or in
Yeah, so
specific?
the chakra system would be like your I'm not I'm definitely super big on my chakras, but I'm not super big on I haven't dove deeply into the educating myself on every aspect of chakras, but basically
Mm-hmm.
we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And we have
Mm-hmm.
different levels of chakras inside our spiritual being, and these are different levels of energy. The first chakra would be the root chakra, and that's like the energy that helps you be very grounded. It helps you be goal oriented or stable or consistent. It's like your security chakra. It's like your vitality chakra, right? And then the
Mm-hmm.
very top chakra, so it starts at the bottom, goes all the way to the top, would be the crown chakra, and that's like your spiritual chakra that's connected to the universe, right? And in between it, you have all these other
Okay.
chakras, right? So each chakra represents a different energy inside you, just like how each planet represents a different energy. Having all your energy, all your chakras lit up and have properly healthy would help activate your other chakras that help activate your third eye, which would be the indigo chakra right here. And part of the crown chakra, which is like your spiritual chakra. So having a
Mm-hmm.
healthy chakra system will definitely help activate the third eye without a doubt. Because when your chakra system is strong and you're vibrating high, you're able to tap into your higher self, get enlightenment. Vibrate at higher levels, catch higher frequencies. You see what I mean? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
chakras will definitely help
And I think
activate it.
the chakra system, like it goes from like the root up, right? Like if
Right.
your root
Hmm.
chakra is messed up, you're gonna have trouble with all your other chakras going up for the most part. Is that kind of
Right.
basic? Is that correct? Basic understanding
Yes,
as far as
definitely.
yeah. So
Mm.
then I'm seeing here where I just brought up on the computer. And if you're watching the video, you'll see this that the third eye chakra, and then like you're saying the crown chakra. The third eye chakra is like the second to last one, and the crown chakra is like the enlightenment chakra, right? Like if you get
Right.
your crown chakra open, you're pretty much good. You won the
Mm-hmm.
game, as like with this the spiritual game, so to speak, right? I mean, I don't want
I
to
mean, yes
belittle
and no.
it,
I
but
mean, if you develop a very, very, very strong one, yeah. But
yeah.
I feel like, you know,
Is that
they're
what that's what
all
they're always saying with like the
simultaneously.
enlightened masters? Go on.
Yeah, yeah. They would have a very, very strong crown system, right? But I do
Okay.
believe that everyone has a little bit of an activation, but
Oh, for
some are more
sure.
activated than others. You know what I mean? But
That
when you
makes
have a
sense.
full blown activation of all your chakras, especially the top one, which you can't
Hmm.
have a full activation of the top one unless all the other ones underneath it are stable. And
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you were saying,
And it's
right?
interesting because the
So
third
once,
eye gets its own chakra. Like everything else is
Mhm.
kind of, I don't know. It feels like it's more based in the physical or based in the stuff we're used to. And the third
Mhm.
eye chakra, that's like almost purely. I mean, here on this thing, it's calling it awareness. So I guess
Right.
that would be your perception. Your awareness would be the physical side of the metaphysical awareness of the third eye
Mhm.
chakra.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, no, it's just interesting how that, and then the final one, I'm guessing the way I understand the crown chakra would be like the connection with that which is beyond duality and stuff like that.
Right.
Like the
Mhm.
thing that like before you have all this stuff, whatever that is kind of like that pure connection.
Right. I
Um
totally agree. Mhm.
okay, cool. So that's one of the reasons we're getting a little. Did we get into why you'd want to activate it?
Um,
Kind of not really, but like let's talk about that. Why would you? I mean, we did. We like some of the uses of it, like with the example of the two guys who wanted to be
mhm.
comedians. But
Mhm.
aside from the practical benefits of being able to pursue your dreams and kind of navigate the world more effectively, is there any other
Mhm.
thing we should talk about that why you'd want to activate it?
Yeah. So and there's so much that we could have that we're gonna have to cut short. Maybe we'll do a part two
Yeah,
on
we
it.
might have to do a part two. I was just
Just
thinking that because we didn't even get into
yeah.
the dangers of activating it. And that's what everyone wants
which
to
is
hear. We want to see a car wreck.
Yeah.
We want to see a metaphysical like train wreck right here. So we'll bring you. We got you guys. We got you guys. We know what the public demands. We're gonna throw some people to the lions in the next episode. So don't trip.
Because I definitely don't necessarily. I don't want to throw people off and tell people like everyone should be activating their third eye. I'm not saying that.
Right? That's what I kind of thought was gonna be the case. That like it's just
it's not everyone's ready for it. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, let's leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's a good cliffhanger right there. And also, I wanted to do a commercial break. So I guess we're just gonna have our commercial break at the end of this podcast. So you guys are gonna hear that in a second and learn a little bit more about the podcast network we're putting together. Some of the cool stuff that's going to be going down there, and I'm really excited for all this. Do you have any closing words, or just just so you guys know, the next episode, I guess the part 2 of this one about the third eye, we're going to again talk about a little more probably about ways to activate it, and then how your astrological energy will affect the activation. Then we're also going to talk about the dangers of activating it, of course, which should be exciting. And then why you should or shouldn't activate it, and ways to control it once it is activated. And hopefully we'll be able to get through all that. Because now I'm thinking about it, all that seems like each one of those could be deep. So, do you have any closing thoughts, closing words before we wrap this up?
No, I appreciate you guys for joining. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. I hope we, continue this. And maybe you should tell everyone just the idea behind the entire network channel. Or save it for next time. But other than that, I'm good until next week.
Everything in existence appears to have an opposite.
It seems to be the fundamental property of the universe that we live in.
But what then is the opposite of reality itself, of existence,
of the universe,
and of everything that our physical senses can discern?
That 50% of what is
just what we're trying to learn more about.
The Metaphysical Podcast Network is your spot to start pioneering the kind of stuff that mystics have been talking about for ages,
and quantum physicists are just starting to discuss. You can learn more and listen in at
Metaphysics Podcast Network. New videos up weekly. Subscribe now.